Jason Bourne, he's back, and it's only taken about 9 years. But Matt Damon has finally returned to the screen as Mr. Bourne himself, the man who has a slight problem with his memory, thanks to Paul Greengrass directing. Matt Damon stated that he wouldn't come back to the Bourne franchise unless Paul Greengrass was there and the script was one that he was happy with. Okay, so he is back. And Jason Bourne is a fantastic series of films. I even like Bourne Legacy with Jeremy Renner. I think it's a very underrated film. Jeremy Renner is a fine actor, and I think he did really well in it. So my hope is that sometime in the future, perhaps they'll get Renner and Damon together in a film. That would be pretty cool. But for Jason Bourne, this new official fourth film in the trilogy series of films, is it as good as the originals? Well, yes it is, because it's exactly the same as the original three. The story is almost point by point the same. The first three films are fantastic, and if you watch them in order, they flow very well. From the very beginning, where Jason has no memory at all, total amnesiac, to the last of the three movies where he's remembering everything. Okay, and they flow in order. But if you get down to it, the first three movies are exactly the same plot each movie. An old guy working for the CIA wants Jason Bourne killed. And then Jason Bourne has to evade the CIA hitmen and other people who have been turned into assassins in Treadstone or whatever secret operation there happen to be at this point in time. Come after him, he has to kill them, evade them, and slowly get his memory back. As I say, at the end of the third film, obviously, supposedly he remembers everything now. He's David Webb. He remembers his real name. He remembers everything. He remembers why he went to Treadstone. He's got it. And it would have been a good place to end it. Jason Bourne, as I say, is a fantastic series of films. I can understand why everyone was clamouring for another film. But really, the three films stand on their own as a set piece. With a nice beginning, a fantastic middle, and a perfect end. Really, they should have just left it there, but they didn't. They did Legacy with Jeremy Renner, as I say, which I liked. I'm in the minority there, but I liked it. And now Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass have come back for this fourth rendition of the original Jason Bourne. But as I say, it's exactly point per point the same as the other three films. An old guy, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who plays one of the best grumpy old men in the cinema right now, whatever he's in, is out there to find Jason Bourne because he believes that Jason Bourne is trying to get secrets that have been stolen from the CIA database by Nikki, Julia Stiles, remember her? She's back for a brief period of time before she gets killed. And Tommy Lee Jones thinks that Jason Bourne is part of this and that he's going to try and bring down the CIA. He's totally wrong. Jason has nothing to do with this. He doesn't know anything about it at the beginning of this film. He only gets found out about it when Julia Stiles contacts him and says, "Come and meet me, I've got something I need to tell you," because she's found out that Jason Bourne's dad, or I should say David Webb's dad, was actually the man who created Treadstone originally. But when he found out that his son was being recruited into Treadstone, he tried to stop it. And for his pains, he got blown up by the CIA. That's what Nikki wants to tell Jason. But she gets killed before she can divulge all the information, but she does give him the USB stick that's got the flash drive that's got all the information on it. So from that point on, Tommy Lee Jones is convinced that Jason Bourne is out to get him. And slowly through the course of the film, that's what Jason is forced to do. He sort of like gets dragged into this because the CIA won't leave him alone. But that's exactly what happened in the second film. If you remember, he had retired to Indonesia or wherever the hell he was with his girlfriend, and they sent that hitman, Carl Urban, who played the hitman, to kill him. And it was like that's what dragged him back in to this whole mess and ended up with the CIA being in trouble again. So unfortunately, this script isn't very good because it's exactly the same retelling as the first three films. Does it have fantastic action? Yes, it does. That is a hallmark of Jason Bourne films. Does it have fantastic car chases? Yes, it does, because that's a hallmark of Jason Bourne films. In fact, there's two in this film. There's one at the beginning where he's chased while he's on a motorbike, and there's one at the end where he's in Las Vegas and he's chasing this SWAT van that's being run by the bad guy. But that's something else. For the first time in a Bourne film, I actually found myself getting bored. The chases just felt slightly too long, and there were moments in the film where the talking and the narration and the parts between the action were just going on slightly too long. And for some reason, in this film, rather than the normal Jason Bourne being hunted by the CIA throughout the entire film and he's got to find out why and then stop them, that's normally the plot of the Jason Bourne films. In this film, they've squeezed in this B plot line about social media and this guy who's like Steve Jobs or whatever, who's developed this social media thing that will allow everyone's information to be put on all these different types of computers, from computers to iPads to phones, you name it. And Tommy Lee Jones, as the head of the CIA, has worked with this guy, so the CIA will get access to all of this information, everyone's information. Anyone who joins this internet mogul's free internet service, all that information will be available to CIA. So they've squeezed in this social media aspect of the plot, and then they sort of like run side by side. One minute you're with Jason Bourne doing what he's doing, and then all of a sudden you cut to this other guy and his social media and what's going on over there. And they're two totally different plots. And like I say, they run parallel until the end where they meet in Las Vegas, where Tommy Lee Jones, for some reason, as I say, he's the director of the CIA, is appearing on stage at an expo with this guy who created this internet service to answer questions from the press and the public. Does anyone else remember the CIA director ever being on stage at an expo event for anything? I can't honestly think of anything like that ever happening in real life. I mean, why would he put himself... I mean, the amount of bad guys who are probably out there looking to kill the CIA director, and he put himself out there at an expo in Vegas? Really? No, that's just stupid. So Julia Stiles comes back for a brief point, but she's really mailing it in on this one. I was not impressed with Julia Stiles. I mean, she hasn't got much to say, and she's not in it for very long, but when she does speak, when she's got a bit of a spill going on with Jason Bourne, she just doesn't sell it. She just doesn't feel like she cares. It's just, you know, and the best part is when she's dying, her death scene is actually pretty gets to you because you know her from the previous films. But her acting parts, where she's speaking to Jason, no, not too good at all. Not very good. But other than that, the acting is superb. Matt Damon is Jason Bourne. He gets straight back into the role, and he is perfect, and he makes us once again connect with Bourne, and we're with him all the way through his ride. Tommy Lee Jones is fantastic as the old bad guy. As I said, Alicia Vikander is in here as head of CIA Cyber Ops. She's a fantastic actress, and she looks amazing on screen, but she looks, to my mind, she looks too young for the part. She's supposed to be head of CIA Cyber Operations, and she looks like she's 25. I mean, I'm not saying that's not necessarily realistic. I understand computer hacking and computer technology and information is a young person's game, and you wouldn't expect a 50-year-old perhaps to be in that position. But for me, at least, she didn't have the gravitas to pull off the role, especially when she's playing up against Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, it just didn't... It felt like a headmaster with Tommy Lee Jones, you know, talking to a pupil with Alicia Vikander. That's how it sort of came across. It's like, yeah, he's just sort of like patting her on the head. Go on, go off and do whatever you want to do. I'm keeping an eye on you, sort of thing. And at the end, he tries to kill her because he thinks that she's helping Jason Bourne. Well, she is, but we're left wondering at the end, is she doing it for her own reasons? Is she just trying to play the game? You know, is she really helping Jason? Because at the end, when she's in a car with, I think it's the National Security Director or whatever their title is, she's telling him, look, put me in charge, I will bring Jason Bourne back to the fold, I will bring him in. And the guy says, well, what if he can't? She says, well, if I can't, then we'll have to put him down. And she gets out of the car and she wanders through a park and she meets Jason Bourne, who happens to be there behind her. And she says, you know, please come in, and together we can work together and can make the CIA better. Things are changing at the CIA. come and work with me. And he says he'll think about it. When she gets back to her car, she finds this device sitting on her passenger seat, which shows that someone was trailing the car that she had previously been in with the National Security Director and had recorded her voice saying that if she can't bring Jason in, that she would put him down. And now the only person who could have recorded that and left it in the car is Jason Bourne. So we know that Jason knows that she was sort of lying to him, that she does want him to come in, but equally she is prepared to kill him if he won't. So that leaves us open to what's going to happen in the next films. I mean, these people are going to want to make more Jason Bourne films. They've already stated that. The studio's already stated that. But they've got to change things up. This movie's had a fantastic opening weekend, but it's had mixed critical reviews, and for good reason. Like I say, it's stale. It needs to have a kick up the butt. It needs to change things. Now, that could be Jason Bourne coming back to work with the CIA. That will change things up. Make him work with a bigger team now rather than being a loner. Perhaps they hire him to do certain jobs, so he'll be sort of like a James Bond, sort of lone agent sort of thing, going out and taking care of bad guys backed by the CIA. I don't know, maybe that will be the case, but they have to do something for the next one. And I hope they do a next one, because as I say, I love Jason Bourne films, but they just need to spice it up. They need to put a little bit more punch into the plots and change things up again. Paul Greengrass, fantastic action director, perfect on action. He helped write this script, that's why Matt Damon came back, but he needs to change things up, definitely. And there's one point in the film, now I don't know if there are any other Mythbuster fans out there, but I myself am a huge Mythbuster fan. And there's one scene in the film where the bad guy in the SWAT vehicle in Vegas is driving down this road, and he drives between these two lanes of cars. And as he's hitting between them, he sends the cars flipping to either side as he barrels down the road. Now, this is an armoured SWAT vehicle, fair enough, but it's still a van. And he goes through like 20, 25 cars, you know, flipping them to one side as he barrels through it. Now, on Mythbusters, they proved that impossible. They tried it with a semi, a massive truck, armoured truck that they'd used previously, and they had like 6 or 7 cars, and they got as far as 3 or 4 before it just stalled because there was too much metal in the way and they couldn't push through because it was a blunt nose pushing against metal, and there wasn't enough. Yeah. So what you see in the film with that SWAT vehicle ploughing down those lane of cars, no, not realistic at all. Very Hollywood, and has been busted by the Mythbusters. So just keep that in mind if you haven't already seen the film. You probably shouldn't be watching the spoiler review, but anyway. So that's it. Matt Damon back as Jason Bourne. Love Jason Bourne. Love the action in this film. Love the acting in this film. But like I say, story's getting stale. They need to beef it up for the next one. I will give this one a solid 6 out of 10. It's a good film. It's worth a watch. Some dragging bits in the middle there, but otherwise, it's an okay film. But it's a mediocre Jason Bourne film, and I would place it personally 4th out of the 4 films. The first 3 films come in ahead of this by a long shot. So keep that in mind. Hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please share it on your Facebook page, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more movie reviews upcoming. You guys take care, and I'll see you soon.